Now the next one is the blood supply to the lungs. How blood is supplied to the lungs? From left auricle, blood is gone to left ventricle, deoxygenated blood. Then it is given to pulmonary artery. This deoxygenated blood given to pulmonary artery. Here you can see, first from left auricle blood comes into left ventricle, then pulmonary artery. After that, from pulmonary artery, that deoxygenated blood that comes into the alveoli, and here the alveoli that transfer the oxygenated blood to the pulmonary vein, and here the exchange of gases takes place. Oxygen that is mixed with blood and carbon dioxide that is come out. So two main pulmonary from each lung which pour the oxygenated blood into the left auricle of the heart. After that, left auricle, so it is the blood supply of the lungs. So once again I repeated, the right auricle pumps all the deoxygenated blood. Sorry, here is right auricle. Right auricle that pumps all the deoxygenated blood from the body into the right ventricle. Then through the main pulmonary artery, and the main pulmonary artery soon after its emergence divides into two that go into the two lungs, and then they divide and redivide several times to ultimately form capillaries around the ear sacs. Then the veins arising from these capillaries join and rejoin to form two main pulmonary veins from each lung which pour the oxygenated blood into the left auricle. From here blood goes to pulmonary vein, and after that to left auricle. This is all the blood supply in the lungs. Now the next one, that is the respiration. So here is a respiratory cycle that consists of two, that is inspiration and expiration, or you can say inhalation and exhalation. So from difference, there is clear difference between inspiration and expiration. First of all, what are the different things which are involved in the respiration? Diaphragm, ribs, intercostal muscles, then the rib cage and sternum. Now first one, in case of inspiration, what happens to the diaphragm? Diaphragm, it contracts. Diaphragm, it contracts and flattens. In this case, it relaxes and moves upward. Then this is diaphragm, then external intercostal muscles. First of all, external intercostal muscles contract in respiration and relax in expiration. Then internal intercostal muscles, they relax and here they contract. In both respiration opposite of each other. Now next is rib cage and sternum. so it enlarges. Rib cage that enlarges and move upward. When you inspired air, your rib cage that moves upward, and when expired, it is downward. Rib cage and sternum. Now next is the volume. Thoracic cavity increases, so the volume that is also increases during inspiration, and here it decreases. After that, pressure. What happens with the pressure? If volume increases, the pressure that decreases, and here the pressure that increases. Here the pressure decreases so that the oxygen or that the air we inhale or rushes into the lungs. So we inhale the air. Here is volume increases and pressure decreases. Volume decreases and pressure is increases. So air rushes out. We exhale and here we inhale. So these are the different characteristics of inspiration and expiration. Now listen, I will repeat it again. So what is happening in inspiration and what happen in expiration? So inspiration, diaphragm that contracts and flattens downwards. In expiration, that relaxes and moves upward. What happens with the external intercostal muscles and internal intercostal muscles? External intercostal muscles, they contract, and in expiration they relax, while internal intercostal muscles, they relax during inspiration and contract during expiration. Now what happens with the rib cage and sternum? It enlarges upward, move upward and outward, and here it moves downward and inward. So volume of the thoracic cavity that increases in this case and decreases in this case. Then what happens with the pressure? Decreases inside the lungs during inspiration, and pressure increases here. So what is the movement of air here in the inspiration? External air pressure derives air into lungs at low pressure. When the pressure is low, we inhale, and the pressure that is increases, then we exhale the air. So it is the difference between the inspiration and expiration. Whether a question coming there is difference or somewhat inspiration or expiration, define inspiration and expiration, you can give the answers from this. Now the next is control of breathing movement. So control of breathing movements, that is the point located in the brain known as medulla oblongata, which controls the breathing. And breathing, that is an involuntary reaction. Involuntary, but to some extent one can consciously increase or decrease the rate and extent of breathing. If you forcibly hold the breath, a stage would come when you cannot hold it any longer. Now the next one is the capacities of the lungs. Now listen carefully about these capacities. Now first one here, that is a tidal volume. Now what is a tidal volume? Tidal volume is that which air that is breathed in and out in a normal breathing. When we normally breathe, the air breathed in and out, that is known as tidal volume, and the volume is value is 500 ml. Tidal volume. Now in tidal volume there is one term that comes dead air space and alveolar air. Dead air space is that some tidal air that is left in respiratory passages such as trachea and bronchi, where no diffusion of gases can occur, that is known as dead air space. The air that is left in the trachea and the bronchi, and the volume is 150 ml. Dead air space. Next one, that is the alveolar air. The tidal air contained in air sac, that is known as alveolar air, and the value is 350 ml. This is alveolar air and this is dead air space. 150 plus 350, that is 500, that is tidal volume. Now second one, that is inspiratory reserve volume. Here air that can be drawn in forcibly over and above the tidal air, known as inspiratory reserve volume, and the value is 3000 ml. Inspiratory reserve volume 3000 ml. Now the next one, that is the inspiratory capacity. What is inspiratory capacity? Total volume of air a person can breathe in after a normal expiration. After a normal expiration, the total volume of air a person can breathe, that is an inspiration capacity, and the value is 3500 ml. Now next is expiratory reserve volume. What is expiratory reserve volume? Air that can be forcibly expelled out after normal expiration. When we expire normally and after that we take forcibly air in, that is known as expiratory reserve volume, and the value is 1000 ml. Next one, that is a vital capacity. Vital capacity, it is a volume of air that can be taken in and expelled out by maximum inspiration and expiration. When we inspire and expire by our maximum, then the volume of air that can be taken in and expelled out, that is known as vital capacity, and vital capacity is 4500 ml. Now the next is residual volume. Residual means some residue that is left. Some air is always left in the lungs even after forcible breathing out, and this is known as residual volume, and this is 1500 ml. Now the last one is the total lung capacity. Total lung capacity. So what is total lung capacity? Total means maximum. So maximum air which can at any time be held in the two lungs, that is known as the total lung capacity, and it is 6000 ml. So these are the different capacities of the lungs. So learn all these capacities, their values and their definitions. Now inspired air versus expired air. So the air inside the lungs, that is never replaced completely. It is always a mixture of air left inside and air inspired. In other words, the air in the lungs is only becoming better and worse with each inspiration and expiration. So quality wise, the expired air that differs from the inspired air in the following respect. So there are some points. It contains less oxygen. Expired air, it has less oxygen, more carbon dioxide, more water vapor, and it is warmer and it contains some bacteria. Now there is next and last topic, that is effect of altitude on breathing. So as we go higher up, there is less oxygen. So at about 4500 meters above sea level, one may suffer from air sickness, in which lack of oxygen leads to dizziness, unsteady vision, loss of hearing, lack of muscular coordination, and even complete blackouts. Now there are two diseases, hypoxia and asphyxiation. Hypoxia, it is a deficiency of oxygen reaching the tissues. For example, when we sit in a room, crowded room for long hours and there is no ventilation, then we also experienced this at high altitude where the oxygen content that is very low. That is known as hypoxia. The next is asphyxiation. It is a condition in which the blood becomes more venous by accumulation of more carbon dioxide and the oxygen supply is diminished. So this is all about the chapter. There is some experiments on breathing and respiration that is given in the last of the chapter, that done by yourself, and revise the chapter and read the chapter thoroughly. In exams, questions may come from every line, so complete the chapter and also write the question answers. From back exercise there are questions are given, so complete that all the question answers and write in the notebook and learn also. Thank you.